This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right, All About Home Construction here on WAETA. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Terry, and everybody out there.
Happy Saturday, buddy.
And happy Saturday to everybody out there.
That's
Consider the circumstances.
You know what? And that's the way we're rolling this morning. We're actually recording this on Thursday night here at the VFW, as they're gracious enough to let us come and borrow some room and just get this recording out, because just like everywhere else in the Watauga County and surrounding areas, it's hard to get into the radio station on a Saturday.
Yes, they did. They had quite a bit of mud in it.
Yeah, it's that's sort of the theme to the entire week here for the county, huh?
We tried to get in last Saturday, and the reason we wanted to get in was for public service addresses. All right? And one of the big ones we want to talk about is you've got a generator. I lost it. Yeah. Make sure you
hold on.
Turn your main breaker off.
I'll cut you off. Hang on. Okay, I can't switch out of this. That's what cut it off. Screens. Okay. Well, there we go. Let's pick up here.
All right. And one of the big ones we want to talk about is you've got a generator.
And we'll start there.
Do not hook it up to your panel box without turning your main breaker off. Because even if you do a 110 hookup, you will still be feeding 7,700 volts on the backside. See, that is a step-down transformer, not a step-up transformer like it used to be.
Well, see, that's the thing. Transformers on the electric grid work both ways.
Yes, they
and
do.
I think people don't realize that. And so if you have, again, like you said, if you have a generator, even a small 110 powers, you're barely powering your refrigerator or something, right? When it goes back and runs through the house and back through the lines into the grid, it runs through a transformer that normally is pulling power down, I guess you would say, to your house, but now it works in reverse. Yes. And it's pushing that up and changing that ampage. So when it gets to that line, anyone that touches it, and in this case, the people who are trying to fix it, they're touching a hot line.
If they're not prepared, to know that they're touching a live line.
Yeah, and they certainly have safety precautions, but why are we relying on one safety precaution from someone who is, let's face it, these guys have been out for, at this point, a week, and, they're tired, they're just the stuff that they've had to go through and see, the linemen, first of all, I want to thank them all, but why are we relying on that when we can just do something simple and, like you said, just kill it at the box on our end?
Correct. Well, these guys are spending a tremendous amount of time trying to get everybody power back in. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to think about that's the reason they want a 30-foot right of way on each side of the power line.
Right.
To try to keep this from happening. And when I went through Valley Cruises the other day, when I was pushing the trees and debris out of the road, there's a lot of trees that weren't 30 foot off the power line. I mean, I know you love your shrubbery and your trees, but how's it feel not to have any power today?
Well, that's it. And when we look in the Watauga County area, we see that Boone itself, fared pretty well in terms of the general population of Boone having power.
But not in the county.
But not in the county. But I was supposed to get ready to say, when you look at it in the town on New River, light and power, there's not a ton of trees compared. And some of these places, how many pictures, Randy, have you seen or seen it in yourself where there's no pole? It's the top 6 feet of a power line, a pole that's being just dangling from the lines.
Well, correct. No, I had a guy the other day said, "You can get your tractor through here." And I said, "No, I can't."
No.
He said, "I'll step on this line." Well, my tractor's 8 foot tall, and there was about 4 foot that I had to push through the power lines. And I would have tore up a transformer if I'd have went ahead and gone through. And I said, "I just can't help you."
Well, that's going to be the key as we move forward, right? Here we are a week out, and we're going to have to figure out from, what can we do, and just be patient because the adrenaline's starting to wear off. You know, I think we've been on this adrenaline high really for the last week. And as that starts to calm down and now things are becoming, for the lack of a better word, normal.
Well, it's not going to be normal.
It's never, exactly. It's never going to be
normal.
We're
hearing reports of people not getting power
for
a month.
Well,
3 weeks to a month.
Exactly.
And that's because the power lines falling because of the trees.
Yeah. But as we get into this, this next phase, I guess, is we're really going to have to worry about just being calm, being patient, and showing a little, I guess, grace, if you will, to people.
And you know what? Something else. You know, when we had the COVID stuff and people got to hoarding stuff, yes, we're coming down like COVID, but the point of it is don't be a hoarder because there's a lot of people that needs a lot of stuff, whether it be food. And, I know we got a longshoreman strike going on. That's going to take a month to catch up to everybody. But do not be a hoarder on fuel and anything because you might be hurting somebody else trying to take care of yourself.
That's a good point there because we're all in this together. We're all in the same situation, and just having that fear, that that constant, like whatever, we want to get the resources, we want to get back to normal, but again, it goes back to use some common sense, and again, just be polite, right? Like if you don't need 3 cases of water, get the 1 free case of water. That way, you can, someone else can get the other 2.
Yeah, and if you got a creek next door, use your creek to flush your toilet.
Thank you. I've had I've had that discussion with some friends, and it's like, you have a creek. I know you don't drink the creek water. Like I'm not saying that, but if you can flush your toilets with that, think of how many more bottles you can drink now, right?
Correct. And I hate to be morbid about this, but you might save somebody's life not hoarding.
Yeah, I think you're right. But hey, while we're on the topic of water, and since this is all about home construction, I would like to talk to you a little bit about. So the towns of Boone and Blowing Rock in particular here in the county, but people who are on town water, they had a lot of different like advisories. You have to boil your water and things like that. But there's no one putting these advisories on wells. And so as people start to come back out of this, what's the chances of wells having this bacteria into it from rainwater?
Probably not, because the modern well has to be concreted in. Maybe some of the older wells that are 30, 40 foot deep that was not concreted in all the way to bedrock. Let's say they drilled so far down they stopped in dirt. That could be a problem. Okay.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, I kind of assumed, if they're, as long as they're not weren't completely underwater, right? I mean, I get there's probably some low wells that were submerged.
Correct.
Then there's probably some outside.
I think our guest had a question.
That's it. Yeah, we'll get into Taz here. And first of all, Taz, thanks for coming. You're no stranger to this show, but we are glad that you're on. So welcome back.
Thank you for having me today. So what about spring boxes?
Well, most of your spring boxes that the old timer did, we're back into solid rock. And, chloroform and stuff like that can get into them. But most of the people that has the spring box is already used to it, and it's not a major amount. Because, see, I can go to a house, and if it has a well, and take a drink of water, and I know exactly if there's chloroform in it. Because it just tears my stomach all to pieces. And there's certain areas in the county that has shale rock. And the shale rock generally allows those from the surface water to seep into them. Most of them is solid granite. Doesn't have a problem. But like your spring box, see, it's back in solid rock. They build a spring box and it's capped off. So it keeps most of the runoff off.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about springs. Assuming, again, that was installed correctly and there's nothing that's messed it up, such as a tree that's fallen and busted it up.
Well, most of the springs are pretty clean. You know, I used to know everywhere I used to hunt, I knew where the springs were so I could dig out and get water. And, because I love spring water.
Hey, there's nothing better. There's nothing better for sure.
You know, well water doesn't have any flavor to me.
We should market that mountain spring water. I'm pretty sure it's been done.
Well, there is, but if you want to sell spring water, you have to test it for 365 days and send it off every day for them to see what's in it to make sure it's pure.
Well, that's a lot of work.
No, if you're going to sell it. Because I have a family that has a spring that runs between 5 and 10 gallons a minute.
Nice.
And so they called me today and they're wanting to go, can we generate electricity with it? I said, probably not. You can't run a Pelton wheel, but you can run an overshoot wheel, a small one, but it's not going to generate a lot of energy.
Yeah, that to me would be, especially as we look at a time of crisis like this when there's so many people without power, right? I was talking to a friend of ours, friend of the show, Landon Pennington, came on and talked about the solar a few years ago. I was talking to Landon just the other day, and I think his solar panels seem to have fared well with the wind and stuff.
Good.
But he was saying, it was great because now he's got power. And I was talking to another gentleman that had solar panels, and he's actually running him and his neighbor, that he's running 2 different refrigerator and freezers off of the solar panels. And because we were talking about how he's run it down to like 19% on his battery bank.
It ain't going to be long at 19%.
Well, that's what he was saying, but as the sun comes back out the next day, it's charging it back up. And so far, out of the last week, he's not ran below that 19%.
Well, you know what? Before all this started, I was actually looking into buying a couple of carbide lamps. Mm-hmm. Because you can still buy them and you can still buy carbide. And most people don't realize it only takes water and a match to start a carbide lamp. That's what they use in the coal mines.
Yeah. Well,
and it's a little expensive. I think $150 for a carbide lamp, but it puts out light.
Well, and times like this is huge, right? How many lanterns have we burned? How many? I had my lanterns out, for my Civil War reenacting lanterns. I'm burning those. The old school, lamp oil, kerosene, whatever that stuff is.
A lot of old technology come out during this time.
It's amazing. I had the grill going because I had charcoal, but I'm frying up on my cast iron pan on the grill. So I didn't go hungry. Let's put it that way.
Well, I didn't either.
One thing that I had to worry about was I was able to get the kids away because they were, so they could get off and have power. So I'm at home by myself, and the refrigerator, the freezer on top of the refrigerator, is starting to defrost after several days, after day 4 or whatever it was. And I'm looking in there, and I got this big family-size pack of pork chops, and they're starting to get soft, starting to thaw out. So, needless to say, I am out there grilling 4 pounds of pork chops that did not go to waste, I promise you.
Did Carson eat them all?
He didn't come. I had most of it gone. He came and probably finished off the last pound. Well, it was all me.
Let me give you
it was all day Saturday. I'm just sitting around eating pork chops.
Let me tell you about your food in your freezer. Now, you can refreeze beef and you can refreeze pork if it has ice crystals in it. Do not refreeze fish, chicken, stuff like that, because it will hurt you down the road.
That's what I've been afraid of, and which is why I was cooking it all. I didn't want to take a chance, but I think that as we look forward, just so much loss. That's the stuff that's people are starting to realize now, because they're the obvious stuff, the houses, the cars. But now we're seeing that it's impacting every single thing.
Well, if you got meat that's stalled out, beef's not too bad. Okay, at 70 degrees for several hours, you can use that, because think about it. It's defrosted. Now you got 3, 4, 5 days to use it, as long as it keeps around 42, 43 degrees. 70 degrees is when the bacteria starts.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if it sits in your refrigerator for a day at 70 degrees, throw it away. or cook it and feed it to your dog
I was giving some to my cat. Yeah.
or your cat.
I mean, just because. Actually, I had some milk that in the refrigerator that was lukewarm. It was just warm enough that I was afraid to drink it. And my cat sure did.
Well, I tested my milk. It was a little warm, but I still drank it.
Well, I don't like milk.
And then the next day, I threw it away.
Don't like a lot.
But I
of
didn't
milk.
feed it to my kitty cat because I was afraid of hurting it.
Well,
Let's get into our guest.
I tell you what, let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back and then we'll get into our guest, Taz, as she's made a special appearance already. We appreciate that.
It's been a while.
That's it. So we'll take a break. We'll come right back right after this. That's right. All about home construction here on AM 1450 WATA. And again, of course, the podcast, all about home construction here, wherever you get podcast. And that's the cool thing. We may not have the best cell phone and internet services, but as long as you get a service, you can download this podcast and share it with other people. And then if you're like me, you sit in the dark on the dark night if there's no power and you just listen to all the podcasts that you've saved on your phone.
Well, 96.5's been running pretty good.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we're definitely up. I'm just saying, if you want to, maybe share this with other people, you can share it all week long.
Or email Terry and you'll stay you another sticker.
Hey, that's right. I got some more stickers. Let's not forget that for sure. So, anyway, all about home construction here. And again, first of all, before we get into our guests, I just want to say that today, Saturday morning, the VFW, Randy. Of course, there as we're recording this on a Thursday here at the VFW, and thank them first of all for giving us the space to record. But don't forget, there is a breakfast going on when you're listening to this right now.
Yes, we are going to feed everybody for free that comes in. You're more than willing to give a donation. But there again, it's all you can eat while you're here. All right. After you fill up, don't ask for a to-go box.
Right. That's awesome, though, that your breakfasts are so popular and so awesome anyway. But now that you're able to kind of expand that and just get more people in. And
well, we had some help. And Performance Foods has helped us out. And we do have a deck up here at the main hall. So you don't have to walk through the bar if you don't like to.
Okay.
Because we know people that don't like going through areas that has smoking. Mm-hmm. So that allow them to come in. But everybody's welcome, and we will serve. We don't know because, the last couple of dinners we've run out of stuff. So if we run out this time, we just run out. But the point of it is, I think we got enough food to do quite a few people.
That's awesome.
And if you got a neighbor that doesn't have the internet and they need something to eat, go tell them we're going to do it from 8 to 11.
Sweet.
And if we still got food and people still waiting, we'll work a little longer than 11.
That's great. So yeah, definitely get the word out. Get people here until 11 o'clock on Saturday. And before our show's over, we got some more contact information for some various services I want to get out. But as you mentioned before in the first segment, we do have a guest with us this morning, and of course Taz. And Taz is she is a familiar face. She's no stranger to the show. And so
I
Taz,
know y'all can't see her on the radio, but yes, she's been on before.
She classes it up a little bit, Randy. She classes it up.
I try.
Makes me look better, don't you?
So, Randy, I don't think I can make your breakfast on Saturday.
You're not?
Yeah, because I'll be a little bit busy doing my new side gig.
Well, I think that's more important than my breakfast.
Yeah, I'm going to miss it. So, I had no idea the storm hit the county at all. Not until we lost power. And I always get power back in under 4 hours because I live close to a transformer.
Well, hadn't heard the official rainfall yet. I keep hearing 31 inches, but I don't know if that's official. But if there's 31 inches in the valley, there's 31 inches on the ridge line. That's quite a bit of water.
Well, as a beginner farmer, I have a rain gauge now. I had 18 inches of rain. So, hour 6, I didn't lose cell service, but I lost my power. So I go on social media and I go, oh my gosh. That's when real get in.
Devastation, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. So, even though I was Air Force, I did my 2 deployments with the Army. Rule 1, take care of number 1 and start working your way out. So I did that. And then when I was ready to jump in there and help, I just put my background skills to use. And so right now, I'm calling on all veteran networks to move supplies into the high country. And it's not just Watauga. I started out just Watauga, and it turned into Watauga, Ashe, Avery, and Mitchell counties. Asheville is getting a lot of attention, and there's a lot of assets moving that way. And Asheville needs those assets. There's no complaints.
Correct.
But whatever non-federal assets I can bring in through our veteran network, I'm going to try to bring it in. So, just a group of volunteers on their own time and on their own dime. I have 2 separate loads that's coming on Saturday. And one's going out to Ashe, and the other one's going out to Avery. So,
Avery got devastated.
Avery County does not have grass, Randy. I don't know what that means. So our cattle right now in Avery County are on the struggle bus. Yes, people first, but I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about my future supper now.
Well, that's
right.
That's Watauga County. That's all the mountain counties that got hit with this storm. You know, a lot of guys like me. I had about 11 acres down. The other 50 is decimated. So there's no hay coming off this that I sell to farmers and stuff. And
one of the projects I kind of picked up on since the last time I talked to you, Terry, I'm now the USDA's County Committee Advisor for Watauga and Avery counties. So, as a beginner farmer, the farmers kind of look at me like, you're not quite right. I'm like, because I'm a beginner. But that's right.
She's watched every episode of Green Acres, Randy. It's quality documentary right there.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm moving in livestock supplies, moving in hay, feed, and supplements, all kinds of fencing material. I had.
Well, I mean, let's just look. I mean, I don't know of any fences that are really not intact. I mean, I think every field that I've been through, every pasture, has at least one tree down. And if anyone has, cattle or horses or any kind of livestock inside a fence, you know that one section of fence down, you might as well not have a fence in a lot of cases. And so I didn't notice that myself. And again, when you have such devastation and the first, like you said, the first thing is to take care of yourself, right? Because you can't help others if you're not in a situation yourself. But again, as we check on the family's okay. That we get everything controlled under the house is as good as it's going to be, as safe as it's going to be at this point. And then we start to look out, at our livelihood, and in the case of farmers, that's their livestock. And you mentioned the hay. That's devastating. We're not a large corn producer here in the high country. But the cornfields that we do have are now on the ground, Right.
A lot of beef farmers too is feeding silage. Now there's no silage, and see that's what they're set up for.
Well, but these livestock is not just their livelihood. I mean, these farmers raise these critters from youngin' all the way up. There's a lot of care and feeding that went into raising this livestock. So there's a little bit more than just a bit of emotional attachment with these animals, right? But and just a thought of trying to put down these animals because they're starving because there's no grass. Randy, I don't know what that means, but there's no grass in Avery County.
Well, that means that you're putting down a part of your family, and that's exactly it. People that aren't farmers don't understand They talk about us being cruel because we raise animals for production. No, they're part of our family, and everybody laughs because you've been at the house. Every cow we had a name, you know, but you could go out and you could touch them, you could talk to them, not literally cow talk, but
Oh, now we know what Randy does on his free time. Talks to the cows and the pigs. We knew something wasn't right with him, Taz.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a secret I was trying to keep for you, but oh well.
Yeah, we had a bull named Shooter, and bulls can be pretty rank, but you could go up and say, Shooter, get through that gate right there, and he'd go through that gate, or he'd walk right up and get in a set of stocks that he didn't fit, but he'd still get into stocks. So you could worm him and stuff like that. There wasn't no way in the world you was going to hold him outside the stocks. But you'd worm him, he'd walk out of the stocks. You'd just talk to him and he'd listen to you.
I love it. I
don't know how people understand that, but if they have to work cattle.
That's Randy, the cattle whisperer for us.
So whisperer, all kind of whisper.
Okay, so Taz, you made a good point there, and as we start to look at livestock in particular, let's take that because we have quite a few farmers. I mean, this is an agriculture area; it's an agriculture state, especially as when you look at the high country at large. Lots of damage, again, because when you have any kind of property in the mountains, first of all, it's not going to be lake, even though it may be lakefront property now, it's not typically lakefront property. And there's no flat pieces on any pasture that I've ever been on. It's all hills and creeks and stuff. And so you have all this erosion now and landslides. I mean, we've talked, we've seen that with the housing and stuff, where mud and water has just destroyed houses, but it's also destroying the pastures as well.
It's destroying our infrastructure. I've never seen this many mudslides. They're contributing to this. They're saying this storm right here is equal to the 1912 flood that around that time destroyed Asheville. I might be missing it by a few years, but Asheville got wiped out around 1912 during that time period.
Well, as we talk about infrastructure, getting off the farm topic for just a second, but 1940, we all know that if you live here or you visit the high country in North Carolina now, you know that in Avery, Ashe, and Watauga counties, there's one set of railroad tracks, and those are over at the theme park, Tweetsie Railroad. Yeah. There's no other railroad tracks, and the biggest reason is in Avery and Watauga is in the 40s, the 1940, the flood came through, and wiped things out, and it just devastated it enough that they're like, it's not worth building back. We're seeing more widespread destruction than what we saw then. I think that. Then, I mean, you could kind of say they did a lot of clear cutting then, and so you could argue probably more landslides. I mean, I wasn't there, but in terms of destruction, it's definitely way more now.
Haystacks did a lot of damage to the bridges. The farmers putting their haystack up, but the timber industry was about gone during that time period, and that's the reason they didn't build that railroad back.
It wasn't economical to spend the money to fix.
Right. Like the mill in 1906 shut down, because the timber wasn't there.
But I just want to share a short message to our farmers. I've been in communication with the county extension offices in Avery Mitchell, Ashe, and Watauga, along with our USDA brethren. And they're trying to bring in supplies to help with the recovery. On a second note, I went down to the USDA office. I took a lot of copious notes, and I started sharing those notes with, I made copies of them and delivered it out to the fire stations. I'm going to drop it off at Ashe County at a single distribution point, and they're going to take it out to all the fire stations for me. Because what I recognize, because this is Appalachia, right? if they can avoid town, if the locals could avoid town, they're going to avoid it. So if I can get it closer to the more remote supply hubs, it'll help the farmers. Plus, the farmers out busy mending fences, gathering up their livestock, trying to herd them back in. And so it's the farmers' wives are picking up these little notes that I'm putting out there.
Well, that's awesome. And again, just trying to get those resources out. Specifically talking about your livestock. There's going to be some damage, and the key to this is at any point, whether if there is any relief help, the key is documentation. And so, not only are we trying to get resources out, I think you're also trying to get the information. Just a reminder of keep up with that documentation, because you never know whether it's some kind of relief funds later on, or FEMA or whatever. If we can start to document that, if and when it does come, we have that documentation.
So I don't know what it stands for, but the USDA at the state level has already authorized the ECP, emergency something. So we can go ahead and do that documentation now, and it's going to last until June 2025. And take as many pictures of the damage and as you can. And if you already started repairs before you got this message, just take as many pictures as possible. I know trying to keep your herd together is as fast as is mission critical. Nobody has time to take pictures. So do the best you can, document and track all your movements. If you have to move dirt, how much tonnage do you think you moved? If you have to haul water, how much water you moved for the distance, right? So track everything. And for the fences and rescaping the mountain again, I think there's a cost share with USDA that they can apply for. So, Terry, I kind of get around in a good way, not that bad way, right? So
it is a Thursday night.
Yep. But I've been talking to one of the 5th Congressional District staffers. I know FEMA's here. They're out and about doing a site survey, and they're trying to figure out how many FEMA personnel to bring in. Here's like a good thing, bad thing. The good thing is, if you have damage, you can apply for FEMA assistance. However, you have to apply online. Well, with the cell service and the internet and the power grid gone, especially in our remote county sections, FEMA is intending to do door knocks and help people apply. So do not despair.
Great, and talk to them. Don't ignore them. Because these people, they go into every area that's devastated. And it just happened to be, it's our turn. It never has hit us this hard. And there wasn't anything for anybody in 1940 or 1912. At least it's here now.
Yeah. But I have supplies coming in from Statesville, North Carolina. As far as Grifton, east of Raleigh, a friend of mine, a former veteran, called me up today. She's out of Georgia. She just cleaned up her farm after the Helene aftermath, and she's going to reach out and get more farm supplies up here for us. I know the different disabled American veteran at the state level are sending checks to North Carolina, so North Carolina DAV can make purchases and start pushing up even more supplies. I have a farmer out in Pennsylvania that's offering all of his square bales. We just got to go get it.
That's awesome.
I need help going to get it. And his fields are ready for cutting, and he said we can have it all. I need someone who knows how to run that tractor and make me some hay, and we can get as much hay out of Pennsylvania as we want.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, especially as we listen to this, if you're listening to this on the podcast in particular, so you're not in the high country, if you have connections, please reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with Taz for sure.
You want to give your number out, Taz?
You can.
Or just go ahead and.
So my phone number, if you wish to contact me, is 704-575-3472. The best way to contact me is via cell. I'm kind of moving around throughout the more remote parts of the county, and I don't get your signals or I don't get the calls until after I get past to the eastern side of the county. So.
Well, okay, so I want to hit one more thing before the break. And one thing you mentioned there is, going online and for instance, the FEMA, the applications and stuff is online. When you're in the county, as you're in Watauga County, as most of the schools come back online with power and stuff, there's services there in terms of Wi-Fi. If you can get to, for instance, the high school, you get to the high school in Hardin Park here in town. Just because those are the two that I were at today. As you get there, there's Wi-Fi access at those points, but there's also as you look into the surrounding counties, Ashe County, the emergency management has extended the satellite internet, and there's several sites, including it's basically most of the fire, if not all the fire departments, and so you can go to these places and get free Wi-Fi. And so if you have a phone or a computer that you take with you, you can access the internet to start to fill these applications out.
That is correct. And I've heard stories about a couple of fire stations going out on their own time and dime, buying laptops, and just so that their residents in their area, fire district, can apply for these. Well,
and Starlink, Elon Musk's internet service, you have to get the equipment still, but if you're not going to have internet for a while, they're offering free internet, and they've donated hundreds and hundreds. Different organizations are getting those, and there's hundreds of different places that's been this equipment's been downloaded or passed out and donated. But my point being is that as we go forward, there's more and more access.
Correct. However, the door knocks I think are really targeted for those residents that are completely cut off and on their own.
I've seen 2 FEMA vehicles this morning come up by my house, and they're just vans, not big vans, but they got their satellite equipment on the back. They got their sign, and just pay attention, and they're here to help.
Well, I mean, the fear is, and this is a whole other topic that I know, Randy. I mean, I can already tell you, in 6 months from now, we're going to be having this conversation of the scams. I mean, and so my thing, and don't even get me started because we already see the people going to go out and try to rip people off or try to beat the system, and anyway, we won't get into that. But my point being is, if these FEMA people come through, you're going to know if they really are. Again, you're going to see the IDs and things like that. The questions they are asking are not going to be stuff that they can rip you off with. So if they ask for stuff like money or access to this account or that account, like that's a given, right? But don't, But I guess my point being is, don't let your guard down, but don't be afraid. Like these people are coming in to help.
Well, one of the biggest scams that ever happened in the construction industry is when Hurricane Andrew come through, when everybody flocked to Florida to help them residents out. What I call that was rape and pillage, because they took money, they put tarps on people's houses. We're here to help you. They got paid and then they didn't go back. And the other day I was talking to my neighbor, and he got a phone call from down off the mountain somewhere, and he said, "Who do we need to contact so we can make some money?" He said, "We're in desperate need here. Why do you want to make a profit on somebody that needs help?" And matter of fact, when I pushed 194 out to Broadstone, he come by the other day and put 12 gallons of diesel fuel in my tractor, saying thank you, because that allowed my daddy to get out.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, Taz, again, thank you so much for sharing this information with us, especially about the farmers and stuff. And Randy, we're going to have to take another quick break, and then we'll come right back and get into the third section here of All About Home Construction here on WATA. Hey, don't forget, if you're listening to this live right now on Saturday morning, you are cooking at the VFW, free breakfast this month, right? We always have our monthly breakfast at the VFW. And our supporters and listeners come out and support that. We really appreciate that. But now we want you to spread the word. Today's breakfast, Saturday the 5th, you can come out and free breakfast for people. So come out and get some free breakfast here at the VFW.
Yep. We don't mind helping people. I mean, we will take donations, but if you don't have no money, don't worry about it. Bring your youngins. We got pancakes, syrup, orange juice, milk.
Bacon. You got me stopped on bacon.
What?
Randy.
Maybe I won't bring in supplies and come in for your bacon.
But you know what? The kids are just important too.
That's it. Definitely. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back right after this.
That's right. All About Home Construction here on AM 1450 WATA here in Boone. And, of course, on the podcast, All About Home Construction. And, Randy, we do appreciate all of our listeners, both local and those that are not local that's listening on the podcast. We appreciate your support and, here in the high country. And I know a lot of people off the mountain and not in the high country are helping out and sending supplies and donations. And we do appreciate that so much.
Yes, we do.
So,
I mean, it's tremendous what everybody's trying to do for everybody.
That's it. Again, we want to thank the VFW here in Boone for allowing us to record this. We are recording on a Thursday night, do some of the infrastructure, but also more importantly, because as you're listening to this on a Saturday morning on the 5th, on All About Home Construction in WATA, Randy is actually in the kitchen at the moment. When you're listening to this,
yep,
cooking
rock and roll kitchen, which I've been doing the last couple of shows.
Yep.
Right here at this table where we're sitting.
That's it. Well, and the thing is, I know that you're going to be busy because you are offering not just breakfast, but you are offering a free breakfast for anyone in the county and the surrounding areas that needs food. Come by the VFW and get your breakfast on. Get that 40 pounds of bacon that Randy has.
Gosh, that'd be rough for one person.
He had 40 pounds.
I can work on that.
I have not left at the time of this recording. So at the time of this recording, Randy has 40 pounds of bacon. But no, seriously, come on out and support the VFW. You're welcome to give some donations. All that money will go back into to help more things down the road because, Randy, it's going to be – this is still the beginning, right? We are a week in with some of the devastation, but this stuff, whatever
it's not going to be over in a week.
We're going to be talking about it for a while, for sure.
So, and we've had people come by.
Yeah, that's it.
That we give money to, and some people just come by, and their car broke down, and we give them gas money.
Yeah, well, and
we've had veterans come by.
We talk so much, and so many times. How many times have I said on this radio show, on this podcast, that we in the high country take care of each other?
Yes,
and that's what we're starting to see, right? We're starting to see this Boone, this Watauga strong, right? This Appalachian spirit coming through, and really just all these mountains, right? I mean, we're in the high country in North Carolina, but we know that all of the mountains in North Carolina, the Southwest Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, we joke around a lot, but the truth is we're all Appalachian people, and the truth is, like, we all come together, and we're pretty resilient people. We're going to.
When Kentucky had their flood, there was a trailer load of stuff left here in Boone, and Chuck delivered it himself.
Love it.
And people brought in clothes, they brought in dishes, they brought in dry goods and stuff like that. Nothing fresh or anything.
Definitely.
And Chuck drove off and took it.
Well, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people coming back and helping our neighbors in our neighborhoods out now. But Taz is here with us. So Taz, in our last little section here, you had a few more things to share
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to the Disabled American Veterans. The regional office came in today, Thursday, or what is today?
Today is Thursday. The show was on Saturday.
Okay, right.
How's that?
Well, I'm running on all.
It all blends together. I know.
But they came in for one day only, and they wrote 100 checks to veterans.
Nice.
I worked it out with the Alliance Fellowship, Bible Fellowship, and they gave us some table space. They gave out backpacks with blankets and other toiletry items, and they wrote $500 checks for food and clothing loss, or $1,000 lodging, food, and clothing loss check.
Nice.
And they're going to make their way up and down Western North Carolina to give out as many checks as long as they have the funds available. I will say the Disabled American Veterans are currently fundraising to help the veterans that's been affected by Hurricane Helene. So if you can afford it, please give. It will go out to our veterans. I want to give a shout out to all the different Disabled American veterans across the nation that are writing checks. And our North Carolina department is going to collect those funds and make massive purchases. So if you're in Ashe, Avery, Watauga, and Mitchell counties, help is coming. But the North Carolina Department for the Disabled American Veterans is helping all of Western North Carolina. I just got these 4 little counties as part of my AOR, area of operations. Good thing I had some theater time in Afghanistan. I learned how to move materials and goods throughout a hostile region. So the only thing that's different about now and then is nobody shooting at me or trying to blow me up.
No, but I mean, as we go around the area, though, I'm sure it reminds you of a war zone because it's just been such devastation.
My buddy, he crossed from Ashe to check on his friends in Zonville. He drove through meat camp the day after the storm hit. And he's like, guys, it looks worse than the days after we bombed Iraq.
Well, there's a lot of houses got washed away. I just got a thing on the internet here that they're having to go up 77 and hit Interstate 81 to feed parts of Tennessee and northern part in Asheville. Those counties down there, that's the only way they can get stuff in.
As you get looking into like Damascus up above us and stuff,
I didn't even think about Damascus.
Yeah, you can't get to it. I have some friends that were sharing about it, and you again, to come from Boone to Damascus, you can't go through Mountain City right now. You're going to have to, like you said, it's an hour to 77, and then you're about another 45 minutes to 81, and then another hour back. So yeah, you're talking almost a 3-hour ride to go to Damascus.
And my employee Greg, my lead man, it's taking 2.5 hours one way to get from over on 67 back around Forge Creek back into 88 and come in that way.
Well, we got about 4 more minutes here, Randy, and there's a couple of infrastructure construction questions that I really want to hit on. Of course, again, we want to thank the VFW for letting us record this on a Thursday night. That's going out live on Saturday on WATA. And again, breakfast. I don't want to forget about the breakfast on Saturday morning as you're listening to this. But a couple of questions I have, Randy, that I really want to make sure we hit is, again, the generators. If you have a generator running, if it's hooked up to anything in your house, not appliances. If your appliances are directly hooked up to it, we're not talking about that. But exactly, if this is hooked into your house at any way, make sure that you're killing those breakers so that it doesn't feed back into the grid. The next question that I have as we start to clean up now, a week off, a week away from this devastation, is what are some of the things? I mean, some of the things are obvious, right? Like trees through the wall, through the ceiling, and through the windows and things. Like those are obvious things that we need to address. What are some of the things, Randy, that we may not be thinking about that we should probably be aware of?
Well, one thing is if you got standing water in your basement or your house, you need to get a dehumidifier going. So you're at least trying to get this water out.
Gotcha.
And if you don't have a dehumidifier out in your house, but you have a small window unit air conditioner, put it over your kitchen sink, plug it in, and see that acts like a dehumidifier.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will start taking the moisture out of your house.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times when you're doing drywall, drywall won't dry because of the rainy season. A small air conditioner will dry your drywall up pretty fast.
Right. So that's the key. Is just, I mean, an air conditioner is a glorified dehumidifier. Again, just trying to suck out as much water and moisture as you can. I think another one that I'm worried about as we start to go ahead is some foundations, especially those that have had landslides and sinkholes, close to the house. But again, I think those are going to be something that we're going to have to talk about as the next weeks and months goes on, because if it's those are the things that are going to continue to be a problem. I guess.
If you're going west on 421, you're going west on 321. They're impassable.
Yeah.
Elk Mills is washed out down there, and if you get to Elk Mills, there's a 90-degree turn there that's washed out. Antioch over in Tennessee, where the little white church is, all that's gone.
So if you're wanting to bring in supplies, please call ahead, find somebody with boots on the ground. I'm in contact with 3 county emergency managements. I'm in contact with Watauga, Ashe, and Avery. I am not allowing any of my supply trucks to come to Boone to go down to Linville Falls area on 105.
Avery County, they say Avery
Shut
County's
off.
going to take a month to get the power back.
I'm telling everybody, if you want to bring in supplies for Avery County, you got to come up through 321 by way of Morganton into that.
181.
181. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, thanks.
That's all right.
That's
I don't
it.
know. I've not heard anything about 221 coming back.
I know North Cove, on the northern side of Marion, before you get in, in McDowell, going back into Burke County, is pretty devastated. So I would not try to go that way. Anyway, well, again, thanks to all of our listeners out there, and thanks to all those on the podcast. Again, we'll have some links up if you would like to donate to the area and help out. By all means, thank you so much. Whether it's supplies, whether it's you live or know someone in Pennsylvania that can help with hay or feed or stuff like that. So thank you so much. And
the churches.
Yeah.
This last week, my son-in-law, Paul Hooker, his dad's church set up the First Baptist Church right off the bat.
That's
so
awesome.
Samaritan's Purse is out there helping on 105 bypass. It was great to see as many volunteers that was helping Samaritan's Purse, helping clean people's yards up and stuff. Now this is above my house on 421.
It's huge. Again, just the outpour of help. Thank you so much. And again, get on out here if you're listening to this on Saturday morning on WATA. Randy's got breakfast for you here at the VFW. Come support the VFW. It's, again, a chance to give back to the community. With your donations, but also if you want to come eat a free breakfast, get in here and get some breakfast. Thanks for the VFW for letting us record this on Thursday night so that we can get logistics happen for the breakfast and the logistics for the radio station and stuff. So thank you so much, and we appreciate those of the guys here in the Boone VFW Post for letting us take over their space for a little while to make this show. And Randy, I hope when this is airing right now that you're cooking 40 pounds of bacon, because it's all going to be gone because we're going to have enough.
No,
enough
Terry's
people.
not going to eat 40 pounds.
I'm not going to eat it. But anyway,
I am.
because me and Taz, that's 20 apiece. Anyway, again, thanks so much. I'm glad, Randy. I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad everything's, that the family's okay. And we're, again, like I said, we're mountain people, right? We're Appalachian people, and we're going to figure out a way to get through it.
That's right.
That's
Yes,
it.
we are.
So, well, Randy, we'll talk to you next week, buddy. Take it easy.
Bye.